What's up, everybody? It's your boy Nate. Today, we are going to get up and running using Hunyuan and ComfyUI. Hunyuan is a brand new open source AI video generation model, which lets you do all sorts of amazing stuff. You can do text to video to video, and the results look amazing. Now, by default, Hunyuan does not work on consumer grade GPUs because if you guys checked out their GitHub page, it says you need 80 gigabytes of VRAM, which, let's face it, nobody really has access to unless you're like freaking Elon Musk or Sam Altman. But thanks to the amazing work from the open source community, specifically Kijai, we're able to use these wrappers to get it working on graphics cards as low as a 3060. Today, I'm going to show you how to get Hunyuan up and running in ComfyUI. But don't worry, because I know you guys hear ComfyUI and you immediately think of those messy subway map looking workflows. Yeah, we're not going to be showing you that today because we've done all of the heavy work in organizing this, making it clean and super easy to use. So let's hop right into how this workflow works. Just like all of our other workflows in ComfyUI, this one reads from left to right, and we color code them so it's super easy to understand what you're supposed to do where. So in the left-hand corner, you're gonna see step 1 where it says load models. This is where your Hunyuan video models are gonna go and everything that you need to load in order to make this workflow run. So first things first, let's get your files sorted. You need to download 3 main components in order to get this to work, and that is going to be the Hunyuan video model and then your text encoders. I'm going to leave a link down in that description box so you guys can get it, but also when you download this workflow, there's going to be links here on the right hand side where it says important notes. It's as easy as then just going to this link, and it's going to take you to this Hugging Face page where you can then download the models. So we're going to be specifically working with this Hunyuan Video 720 CFG Distill FP8 E4M 3fn.safetensors file, which is a super long name for a file, but all it really means is that it can run on pretty much any consumer grade video card because this is a much more condensed distilled version. Now, to double check, you want to make sure that you're downloading this 13.2 gigabyte file. If you do have a much more powerful video card available, then you can also download the CFG distilled BF16 version, which is less compressed than the other version. The next file that you also want to make sure that you download is the VAE file, which is a variational autoencoder, a super long word, but an even more important technology because this is what allows us to run these really large video models on consumer grade video cards. So we're going to be working with the Hunyuan Video VAE BF16, which is a more condensed version than the FP32. Now you may be wondering, where do I place these files once I download them? All we have to do is navigate to our ComfyUI folder, go over to our models section, and there you should see a folder where it says diffusion models, and that is where your Hunyuan video main model is going to go. This is your 13.2 gigabyte file with that extra long name. And then your VAE file is just going to go in the VAE folder. If you don't have these folders in your ComfyUI models section, then you can just go ahead and create those folders and it should automatically read it the next time that you reboot ComfyUI. So once you have those files downloaded, you want to go back to the workflow and make sure that you actually refresh your node definition so that ComfyUI reads those folders and says, okay, here is where that model actually is. So after you refresh the node definitions, go over here on the left-hand side and then just make sure to select the Hunyuan Video 720 CFG Distilled FP8 E4M3FN file. After you have that one set, then you also want to make sure to set your VAE. And now for this section, you don't actually need to touch this at all because it is an auto downloader. This is going to automatically download Llama 3 8B. And then at the very bottom, you're going to see the Hunyuan DIT text encoder. And you can use just about any text encoder which has worked with other models in the past. For this example, we're going to be using the VIT-L14 text detail improved encoder, which will have a link down in that description box. But if you guys have been using other clip or text encoders in the past for things like Flux, you can also just use that same model there. And that pretty much concludes all the heavy lifting for step 1, which is probably what's going to take you the longest amount of time to set up, is just waiting for those download files to finish. And then after that, you're pretty much off to the races because you can go over to the step 2 section, which is where all of the magic happens. For the step 2 section here, you can see it says prompt and load video. And at this top section here, we have the prompt, which is going to get used for generating the video. Then we also have a video section here, which lets us put in any video that we want to use as the driving motion force. So you can kind of see from this example here, we use the same one that Kijai had, which is one from a car driving in a dune rally race with some people in the background, and it looks like it's handheld footage. And then with the generated video on the right hand side, it's actually taken that motion and some of that information from that video to drive the second video over here. I gotta say, using this tool is so much fun. Here at the top, we have our original race, and here at the bottom, we have this race car going down with a volcano exploding in the background. If you guys are curious what that prompt was, it was a tracking shot of a car racing through a rocky terrain. A volcano erupts in a large explosion in the background. Dust and lava fly off the tires. Now, I will say it doesn't have so much lava in this, but it does have the dust, it does have the volcano and the car and the rocky terrain. So I gotta give this a solid 8 out of 10 when it comes to local video generation. So we spent a lot of time to make sure that this workflow was clean, that it also runs very well. So we've optimized all the settings and changed a few things from KidJai's original one to give us higher quality outputs. But there's also a couple extra things that you guys can change if you want to tweak this workflow yourself. If you guys wanted to get into the nitty gritty of how this workflow actually works, I'm going to show you the main features of it. So over here on the load video section, it's actually not loading in your entire video clip because that would just be too much to handle. And instead, we have these certain sections here that has a frame load cap at 101 frames. And because the video clip does not start automatically at where I want it to, I have the skip first frames value set to 55. So if you have a video that you don't want to use all of the video for, or maybe not even the first couple of frames or so, you can change this value and you're going to see it updating as well to where if I set this back to 0, the car's not really even in the full frame yet. And that's actually why I skipped it ahead. That's how you control your video clips once you've already loaded it in. The next section here is your video generation settings, and by default these values should give you something impressive, but if you do want to tweak some of this you can, and I would recommend that you change probably the steps amount if you wanted to spend maybe less time on this generation. So instead of 30 steps per frame, you could do something like 20 steps, and it will produce a lower quality result, but it may run a little bit faster on your machine. Another thing that you could change is your denoise strength. This denoise strength is actually what allows the model to use that input video as its driving force. So a great value to keep this at is 0.8, but if you did want it to look a little bit more like your original footage, you can lower the denoise strength down to something like 0.6, and it should also give you a pretty interesting result. Over here, we have a node called the Pick Your Add-ons node, which is really just a bypasser. Let's say you wanted to generate your final resulting video, but you don't want to really generate this other version of it, which has the original footage, and then it has your generated video below it. You can just turn this off by clicking on this button here, and it turns it off. I think because of ComfyUI's update, it's a little bit more finicky, so you might see it still say yes after you've clicked it off, but just know that it still works as a toggle, and it's turning it off if you see it here getting grayed out. Other than that, we have our default frame rate set to 24 frames per second, then our file name here for the original video to video save, and then we have another file name here for our video to video comparison. Now you guys know everything that you need to get this workflow up and running on your computer. If you did need any additional help, we do offer support for our Patreon members. We have links here on the important notes section of the node, as well as where you should place all of those files and links to download all of those files as well. Let me know down in those comments, do you guys enjoy clean workflows? So before we wrap up, let me show you some amazing results that I've seen from others in the community, what they've been creating, because honestly, this stuff just blew me away. Now remember, this is just the beginning because this model was released so recently that it hardly has any support. And I can only imagine stuff getting even better in the future. So if you guys want to stay up to date, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and ding that notification bell so you don't miss out on anything that we post. This workflow is available to download for free on our Patreon, including a setup guide, all the download links. I just want to take this time to send a huge thanks to all of our Patreon supporters. Thanks to you guys, we're able to put out these workflows and keep pushing the community forward. We're also working on a brand new generative AI course for next year, which is just a month away. And as a thank you to you guys, we're going to be giving an exclusive discount to all of our Patreon members. So make sure you guys keep an eye on your inbox because we're going to be sending an email once that's available. There's going to be a whole lot of interesting events that we're setting up, and we're making some huge changes for next year. Make sure you guys get in while you can. We're going to have a link in that description as well. Until next time, I hope to catch you in the next one. All right, peace.